Booker T has been threatening a defamation lawsuit against Ahmed Johnson. So last year, apparently the latter, Ahmed Johnson, tried to spread false narratives about his time in prison, his being Booker T's. While speaking on a podcast, Ahmed Johnson challenged Booker T to a debate after all their issues. He also claimed that he might reveal an alleged secret about Booker T's time in jail if Booker T keeps insulting him. So, here's a quote. "I would love to come on the show," this is Ahmed Johnson talking about, I think, "and have a debate with him, or whatever they call it. I'm all game for that. Come on, podcast people. Let's say that we got to say, let's get it settled once and for all, either way, once or another." I can barely read this. It's grey on black. Anyway, so Ahmed Johnson and Booker T, for whatever reason, have been having a beef since apparently around the year 2000. Did you have any idea about this?
Zero, none. I mean, I'm the guy that's in the business that sort of sleeps under a rock, I guess.
Man, it's Ahmed Johnson. Specific. I know you were in the WWF very briefly crossover when Ahmed came in, but you were in WCW with him in 2000 when he was Big T. Any real memories of hanging about Ahmed Johnson?
Not hanging out with him so much. I did run into him at a show out in California last year, and we had a good long talk, probably the most I've ever spoken with him. But it was more about like family stuff, that kind of thing. It was, not much about the business. I think when he came, because I had that brief time with him in the ring in WWF in '95 as Dean Douglas. And, we had talked briefly about that when I saw him last year, because, I'd been public about it, had spoken publicly about it many times, about how hard it was to work with him. And, with the things that he had told me last year, that he was being told, it's like, go out, it's supposed to be like a job match. And, well, it's not supposed to be a job match. You've got two named guys. So this is what he's telling me. I wasn't fly on the wall at the time, but that would be very indicative of what old school promoters would do. They would come in and say, "Hey, James, I thought you and Shane got along." And he's, of course, say, "Well, we do. We get along great." He goes, "Well, you didn't hear from me, but he was talking shit on you over there on this other podcast." And they do that because then once you start bickering amongst yourselves, you're not going to go, "Hey, Vince, we want more money. We're doing a good job here." So that wouldn't have surprised me if they told him that. Plus, he was fairly new to the business at that time. Again, like I mentioned about Bill earlier, Goldberg. He was fairly new to the business and hadn't been, in that, around the business, and all the acumen and all the things that go on that you learn over years of being around the business. But yeah, I was completely unaware of any issues with him and Booker. I just a little sidebar is I think I know Booker much better. Book's always been fairly open book, no pun intended. I have a tendency to believe what he says. So, Booker and I have always got along great. And not that Ahmed and I didn't. It's just, I think, and suddenly, it's like you said, all these years later, suddenly coming to light, and then these allegations, well, I'll bring this secret out or that secret. I'd be curious to hear what the secret is, because, and if it was something that Booker hadn't spoken about, I'd be surprised.